Of course, I take responsibility. I'm president, but it was horrible what to see, as you saw. To see people treated like they did, horses barely running them over, people being strapped, it's outrageous. I promise you, those people will pay.
Trouble is, it wasn't true. That's all. Biden placed the blame on the border agents and the horses. He should call the horses out by name, I suppose. Let's talk about this with my pal, Steve Miller, former senior White House advisor and founder of America First Legal. So, Steve, let me get this right. The problem here is the customs, the border agents, and the horses. It's not the lack of a wall. It's not the open borders policy. It's not the fact that they have no idea about the numbers of Haitians in this particular episode of where they're going. The problem is the horses. Is that right?
Honestly, I've never seen anything more shameful from a commander-in-chief in my lifetime than President Biden slandering, defaming border agents who risk their lives every day to try to mitigate the mess, the chaos, the disaster that he created. They're out there in the sweltering heat dealing with cartels, drug dealers, traffickers, criminals, and a mob scene that Biden created. And they're trying to peacefully, safely de-escalate, diffuse a tremendously unsafe situation, and did so in that instance without hurting anybody. And Biden is saying they will pay? Egregious doesn't even begin to describe it.
I mean, the actual photographs, and fortunately some commentators, they weren't horsewhipping these immigrants and so forth. They're just trying to create a boundary around them. I mean, that's what
they're trying to
do.
prevent people from rushing. There's a large group. They're trying to prevent a large group using basic crowd control techniques, the kind of thing you might see on a horse in Central Park. They're using basic crowd control techniques to keep people from dangerously mobbing and rushing a scene to get across the border illegally, in other words, in violation of federal law. They should be commended for showing calm under pressure in a very dynamic and difficult situation. Here's the top law enforcement officer in the country, Joe Biden, attacking them. When, mind you, again, Joe Biden is the one who created what is surely one of the most shameful scenes in Del Rio anyone can ever remember seeing.
I mean, I think to this day, all right, so this Haitian crisis, to this day, it isn't at all clear from Biden or Mayorkas or whoever that the United States government policy isn't an open border. We've never really said, don't come here. Now, they try to hedge this back and forth, but when you read what they're saying, they still, Steve Miller, they don't have a policy to correct this. And, of course, they hate the wall. I mean, the wall would have been a pretty good idea. You know, you look back on that. Between the wall and the stay in Mexico stuff, that would have worked a lot better than what they're doing now. That's why I have said I yearn for the orderliness and the peacefulness of the Trump years, not to speak of the prosperity of the Trump years, because this stuff was
order,
stopped.
Peace, safety,
stopped.
prosperity.
Right.
Yes. This is what it all comes down to, is in 2020, the last year before Joe Biden took over, we had total peace and calm on the border, record low numbers of people in custody because they weren't even trying to get across because they knew they would be humanely apprehended and humanely returned. No pull factor, no incentive, no magnet, no crisis. For the simple, sole reason that they are releasing people en masse. They are coming en masse. In fact, according to the government's own numbers, which have been a little bit sketchy, but from what we can piece together, it looks like the vast majority of the recent migrant camp has already been released into the United States.
Right. That's right. Me too. That's what I think. And that's not even counting all the Afghan refugees. Anyway, Steve Miller, to be continued. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it very much.